You know, back in Blighty, the worst thing lurking in my neighbour's shed was a slightly aggressive badger. Here, in the sleepy, sun-baked backwaters of Isaan, my neighbour might be eating my liver. Not with a nice Chianti, mind you, just eating it for fun. That is the reality when you are dealing with a Phi Pop. You see, in the remote villages of northeast Thailand, ghosts are not just something you stream on Netflix for a cheap thrill. They are a daily, bloody-minded reality. They dictate where you sleep, how you cook your food, and who you can nod a friendly sawadi to in the morning. Forget the tourist brochures you have seen, the ones with the gleaming temples and the serene smiles. Those ends the moment the tarmac does, because out here in the land of sticky rice and the mighty Mekong, the ancient Lao spirits are not a Victorian bedtime story. They are the local government. We are living in 2026. I am holding a smartphone with a 5G signal strong enough to stream a football match from London. Yet, right now, there is a village 20 kilometres from my dusty little house, which is currently paralysed with fear. They have called in a shaman, not the police. Why? Because they have a Phi Pop is on the prowl. So let us pull the curtain back, shall we? Let us dive into a terrifying, irrational and utterly captivating grip of this ancient paranoia. It is time to uncover why Isaan still fears the unseen. Besides, more importantly, why are grown men and women who can haggle over the price of a new tractor on Facebook still sleeping with a tonic charm up their nose to stop a spirit from eating their insides? Grab a brew. This is going to be a long one. If you look at the tourism boards for 2026, Thailand is a paradise of digital nomads, infinity pools, and authentic cooking classes. Besides, that is all fine and lovely. However, the real Thailand, the one that seeps into your bones, begins when the paved roads ends and the red dirt begins. That is Isaan, the region that Bangkok likes to pretend is just a place where their food comes from. However, here, fear is not an abstract concept. It is a localized dread with a name. Phi Pop. Now, in the West, if you hear ghost, you think of a wobbly sheet or a tragic Victorian woman. A bit sad maybe, but safe. The Phi Pop is not safe. It is a cinematic trope for the villagers. It is a visceral living entity, a parasite spirit that possesses a human host. The host, usually an unsuspecting woman, is not the monster. The monster is the spirit itself, an insatiable hunger that craves one thing above all else: human entrails. Specifically, your liver, your intestines, your still beating heart. It is the ultimate predator, and it could be living next door. Why does this specific region cling to this? Why, in a world of modern medicine and 7-Elevens on every corner, does ancient Lao Animism hold a grip tighter than a delayed London commuter train? Because the Mekong is not just a river. It is a boundary, a memory. These legends did not come from Bangkok. They migrated from the left bank, from Laos, carried by the ancestors of these people. It is in the bloodline. A spiritual inheritance makes your 5-year-old iPhone look like a disposable lighter next to a forest fire. Let us get down to the gritty, unpleasant business of how this fear operates. It is not about a funny ghost story told to scare kids. It is a system of social control which is as brutal as it is effective. Imagine for a moment you are a middle-aged woman. You are quiet. Maybe you have had a falling out with your sister-in-law. Suddenly your neighbour's water buffalo drops dead. A week later, a child gets a fever that will not break. The village elders start whispering. The Mo-Thai, the local shaman, does a ritual and discovers the source. It is you. You are the vessel. You have a Phi Pop. In that moment, your life is over. Not your physical life, perhaps, but your social existence. You are shunned. People will not buy your vegetables at the market. They will not let their children near you. Your house is avoided. You become a walking plague, all because of an accusation that requires no evidence, no trial, and has no appeal. It is the original cancel culture, and it has been running here for centuries. Besides, what about the rest of us, the unpossessed? Well, we live under a regime of constant low-grade prophylaxis. My own wife, a sensible woman who can calculate compound interest faster than a banker can run, and will not under any circumstances eat from a communal pot without first checking if a specific neighbour has contributed. Why? I asked naively. She just looked at me, her eyes flat. You don't know what she has put in it. That is the daily ritual. It is not just charms and amulets, though we have plenty of those little Turek amulet tubes blessed by monks sewn into the collar of his shirt. It is a psychological weight of living in a community where you suspect your neighbour might not just be a gossip but a literal predator of your internal organs. You begin to look at the quiet old woman down the lane with a new unnerving suspicion. Is she just shy, or is she mentally devouring your spleen? You cannot ask, you just watch. Now, this is where my grumpy, Western, logical brain hits a brick wall. You would think this nonsense would have evaporated with the arrival of the internet. However, it has not. In fact, 5G and smartphone access has poured rocket fuel on the fire. Back in my day, a ghost sighting was a story told over a bottle of Lao cow, embellished with each retelling. Now, Uncle Somchai films a blurry shadow in a cassava field at 3 a.m. Within an hour, it is on TikTok, Facebook, and Line with the caption, "The Phi Pop has arrived." The video is grainy, it looks like a stray dog, but the comments are filled with thousands of people naming their own suspected neighbours. The digital age has not debunked the fear, it has given it a global megaphone. It is crowd-sourced paranoia. We Westerners love to trot out our rationalism. Show me the scientific evidence, we say. Where's the peer-reviewed study on the ghost that eats livers? Nevertheless, here is the thing that took me a decade to understand. Logic does not offer comfort. Science can tell you that your stomachache is indigestion. A shaman, on the other hand, can tell you it was a Phi Pop that tried to take your liver, but he performed a ritual, tied a sacred white string around your wrist, and now you are safe. Which one makes you feel better? The indifference diagnosis or the active supernatural protection? One leaves you with a bottle of antacids, the other gives you a community, a ritual, and a story that restores order to your chaotic world. This is not just abstract folklore anymore. It is bleeding into the secular world in ways that are causing real measurable damage. Just this year, 2026, there was a case in Nong Khai province where spirit accusations led to a literal court cases. A man accused of being a Phi Pop had his rice field set on fire. He sued for property damage. The accused, his own cousin. The Thai justice system, which is already a labyrinth of bureaucracy, is completely unequipped to handle this. How does a judge in his crisp black robe rule on whether someone is spiritually dangerous? He cannot. However, the village elders can, and their verdict carries more weight than any legal document. The man won his lawsuit technically. Nevertheless, he lost the village. He is now a pariah. His property is worthless, and no labourer from the surrounding area will work his land because they are terrified of cursed soil. It is an economic death sentence. This is the unspoken impact. Villages are blacklisted. If a village has a reputation of being full of Phi Pop, the mobile vegetable vendors stop coming. The rice millers charge higher prices, fearing bad luck. The local labour pool dries up because people will not set foot on the land. It is a modern-day quarantine, enforced not by a government health mandate, but by a spiritual one. The fear becomes a tangible economic force that isolates communities faster than any flood. So, you might be asking yourself, as I often do while sitting on my porch watching the geckos, will this ever end? Will the Phi Pop finally go the way of the British ghosts relegated to harmless bedtime stories? And the answer, I have come to realise, is no. And in a way that deeply annoys my grumpy soul. It probably should not, because this fear, this ancient unshakable belief, is a form of social glue. In a world of global homogenization, where my nephew wears a Manchester United shirt and listens to K-pop, the Phi Pop is obliquely Lao Isaan thing. It preserves cultural identity. It reinforces community boundaries. It says you can have your 5G and your Tesco Lotus, but when the sun goes down, we still answer to the spirits of our ancestors. Modern urban anxieties are fleeting. You worry about your stock portfolio, your mortgage, the next election. These are temporary. The fear of the Mekong spirit is multi-generational. It is unyielding. It is permanent. Your wife's grandfather's grandfather was terrified of the same thing you are terrified of now. That continuity, as maddening as it is, provides a sense of permanence that we in the West lost a long time ago. So here we are. I have lived here for long enough now that I have stopped fighting it. I no longer try to explain to my wife it is just superstition. I just let her put the little bamboo charm above the door. I nod politely when the monk comes to bless the new truck. I even, though I will never admit it out loud, give the spirit house outside our gate a wide berth after dark. Not because I believe, mind you, but because, well, why risk it? The brochures will show you the smiling faces, the golden temples, the land of smiles, and it is all of that. However, beneath the surface, just under the red dirt, is a much older, darker, and far more compelling truth. As long as the Mekong flows, as long as the sticky rice is planted and harvested, the fear of the Phi Pop will remain the region's ultimate unshakable truth. It is not a ghost. It is a landlord, and it does not accept a 2 weeks' notice. So, if you ever find yourself on a dusty road in Isaan and the sun is setting and the local gives you a look that is a bit too long, a bit too hard, just keep driving, and maybe for goodness sake don't let anyone cook you dinner. Well, that is my sanity, or what is left of it, spent for the day. Have you ever had an experience in the Thai countryside that made your Western logic do a runner? Or do you have a family story about the Phi Pop that keeps you up at night? I am genuinely curious, even if I will pretend to be cynical about it. Spill your secrets in the comments below. I will be the one muttering rubbish while reading every single one. Thanks for listening. Hit that like button on the way out. Bye bye.